Marco,
Hey, Logan.
how are you doing? How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing really, really good. Yeah, thanks for coming in here. So,
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
yeah, I think this is really cool that we got called together to do this. I've never met you at all. So, and you've never met me. So I think this is going to be a lot of interesting conversations about, you're from Pelican, right?
I've been in Pelican since 2001.
Since
I'm
2001?
originally from Mexico.
Okay. Yeah.
And I remember seeing you at the Music Man last year,
Okay.
and
yeah.
my kids were part of it. They were part of the band in the play, and I didn't know your name, but I know you did great at the.
Oh yeah, well I appreciate that. I did. So I went to high school at Pelican, born and raised here, and graduated in 2016. So, and now I'm back here in Pelican teaching. So yeah, but,
That's good.
Yeah. So you moved in 2001. Is that when you graduate? Like, do you spend time in the school?
I spent about a year and a half here in the school, even though I finished high school in Mexico. But when I came here, I didn't speak English. So I went to school because I wanted to learn the language. And I was working full-time at the local turkey plant.
Okay.
So it was tough. Full-time job, go to school in the morning, after school go to work. And that was my routine for that year and a half that I was in high school. And my grades were okay, even though I was learning the language, but I managed to graduate. Yeah.
You feel like in the year and a half, your English went just took off?
Well, I'm not gonna say it was perfect, and still isn't, but I could understand and I could carry a conversation.
Sure. And then, so after this, like after you graduate high school, did you stay working at the turkey plant for a while, or did you?
I did for a while because I went into sign graphic design over at the tech school in Detroit Lakes. I was there for a year. I liked it, but the problem since when I first came to the U.S., I came here illegally. So I couldn't get financial aid. I couldn't get a grant or nothing. So I was working at a turkey plant to save up to go to school. So after 1 year, I ran out of money, and I dropped out. Couldn't continue, and I just went back to turkey plant and tried to save up a little more. Waited a few more years and went back to technical college for auto body collision.
Okay. And so you've been working in auto body collision mostly then?
I work for the local body shop here in town for almost 4 years.
Okay.
And I've been doing it on my own, like a hobby, because that's one of the things that I like. It's cars, art, and bicycles.
Okay.
I like bicycles.
Bicycles too? I didn't know about that. We should get you JP. We should call him up here. He likes bicycles. But no, I was going to say that, so the art thing is the one thing I heard about you, because we haven't met, but the one thing I did hear about you was the art. So is that something that would you consider like your main occupation? Or
It is. I have a small shop at home. I've done work for the body shop, restaurants here in town, Park Region, the gas station down the street, and the pool hall, Broadway auto sales, and some other ones that I can think of right now. But yeah, that's my main focus, the art part.
And mostly painting, or is it 3D work?
It's painting, it's making signs, it's designing logos.
Okay.
Lettering, I like lettering. I like all kinds of play with the letters and
all the things that you're talking about, like you like doing, which is like, for me, the one thing I like to do that might be more manual is landscaping. For me, it's like it does not take a long time to take nothing and turn it into something beautiful. You know what I mean? That's what I love about landscaping. So like with art and stuff, if I was better at it, I think I would do it more. But I think I can't really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it's just one of those things of building something great, like in a short period of time, is a really cool thing about art. And I know it probably takes more thought and care than I'm making it sound, but you know what I mean by that? So
yeah, I think you're some of it. You're born of it, because since I can remember, I've been drawing. I've been like, I been drawn to, I don't know, a sign on the street, graffiti on the wall. Like I've been interested in that since I can remember. I
Yeah.
think part of it is in you, it's in your genetics, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. That's me with math. Okay, so I'm a math teacher at the school, and that's kind of ever since, like, you could ask anyone in my school days growing up, just as soon as you put numbers on a piece of paper, or just questions about how much, what, like, I just get excited about that. So it's nothing anyone told me. You know, it wasn't like I had an uncle who I really looked up to who told me I should look into math. It was just like, it just was there. 4 or 5 years old, you don't even remember, you don't have memories, but for some reason you have this intense interest in something. And so that's really cool that you're following that.
I see that on my son. My older son, he's really good at math. And I wasn't good at math, honestly. But he's really good at numbers. He's just obsessed with numbers, and he likes it. And I'm amazed that where he got that from. Obviously not from me. My wife, she's not very good at math, even though she works at the bank, but she says she's not good at math.
Well, that's a whole conversation about banks and how good they are at math in general. But so you said you had 2 sons, though.
I have 2 sons.
Okay. So what were their names again, and what grades are they in?
My older one, his name is Erandi,
Okay.
and he's 10 years old.
Okay.
And my younger one, he's 9. His name is Eric. He's in 4th grade. And I also have a daughter who is a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
Her name is Ellie.
Ellie. Okay.
And they all have different, they're really different. I mean, you would think that since they're brothers, they would be a lot alike. No, they're different.
That is very cool. And did you have a big family growing up, like with a lot of siblings?
No, brother and a sister.
Okay. And did your whole family come up in 2001?
No, it was just, first, my mom, my sister, and my brother, they came a year before me because I was in Mexico finishing high school, and I didn't want to drop out on my senior year over there. So they decided to come here. I decided to wait another year. And they found a place here. My mom, she found a job at a local turkey plant, and after a year I came here and joined them.
I think about that a lot. Just you're old enough now, so I think about just like the whole immigration story is something I've very like zero knowledge of, you know, personally, or even like doing research. You can't really know what it feels like, and so for someone like you who is 18, or what are you? How old are you?
I was 18 at the moment.
Okay,
I was 18, and back in the day, I didn't know what I was getting into, but I had no other choice. We were raised by a single mom. So she didn't have a source of income over there. My uncles, they were already here in Pelican, my mom's brothers. So they said, hey, we're going to help you out. If you want to come here with your kids, and we'll help you guys out. And we took their word for it. Like I said, they came here first. And then after a year, I decided to join them. It was a 2-week trip. Usually, when you have all your, as they say, papers in line, it probably just takes 6-hour flight, and you're here. But when you're coming illegally, it takes about 2 weeks. Well, that's what it took me. It's a big quest.
Yeah.
I got caught twice. Get sent back to Mexico. The same. They put you in a detention center for a night, then they kick you back to Mexico. Well, the third time I was lucky and I made it. I made it through, and it sounds like it was easy, but it was not, because you have to go through a lot. You have to walk through a desert. You have to hide in garbage containers. You do whatever you can to not to be seen by the immigration customs, and it's tough. But what drives you is just the love that you have for your family, that you want to see them again. Because after a year without seeing them, it's just like you don't care what you're gonna go through. It's just you gotta be there. You gotta be with them, and
at the
no matter what.
At the time that they left Mexico to come up here, you had a whole year. Were you by yourself? You had no family connection or support.
I had my grandma and my grandpa, and I would go to their house and get something to eat, but I was living on my own, and I was going to school living on my own, and kind of going off the tracks a little bit, because when loneliness kicks in, it's something that you don't want to go through that. I mean, it's just being by yourself all the time, and but I'm glad I took the decision of coming here, and despite that all that I went through, it was worth it. And
do you feel like you found do you feel like you need, when you make friends up here, like, is there anyone you feel like that relates to your story in serious ways, or like?
Yeah. Well, when I first came here, there wasn't very many illegal people here when I first came here, so it was hard to relate to them, because a lot of kids, or the kids that went to high school, I couldn't relate to them because they took a lot of things for granted, a lot. Things that I didn't have, like use the simple fact of having an ID. I'm not speaking about a driver license, using a simple ID. I couldn't get one because I didn't have a social, and I couldn't get a job. And I work at a turkey plant because back then they were hiring anybody. They didn't check their paperwork. And but I couldn't drive. I did drive because when I went to college, but before that I couldn't drive. I didn't want to drive. I mean, I could, but I didn't want to, because it was always in the back of my head, if I get pulled over, I might get sent back to Mexico. But I got pulled over a few times. Luckily, I showed them my school ID, which is all I had back then, and they just let me go with a ticket. Yeah, that's my story, and that's another thing why I dropped out of school too, because I was driving back and forth every day, and I got pulled over once on my way to school, and then I said, "Oh, if I keep going back and forth, that cop is gonna see me again, and eventually he's gonna find out that I'm here illegally, and he's gonna send me back." And that's another reason why I dropped out. But and I did that for being here illegal. I did that for 22 years, so I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to get up every day and just think, this might be the last day that I'm here. And it's not as bad when you're single, when you don't have your own family. But once you have your family and your kids, it's that's tough, because you don't know if you're gonna see your kids again when you take the car just to go to the grocery store. You said, "Oh, I might get pulled over for, I don't know, any reason. Your blinker's out, your windshield's cracked. You never know." Because I've known friends that they got deported because simple traffic violation. So, but yeah, I did it for 22 years. Last year, 2023, I finally became legal. So I'm a permanent resident now, and I'm looking forward to get my citizenship and and then give back to this country that this is home to me now. I love this country since the first day I came here. I mean, it gave me a lot of opportunities that I didn't have in Mexico. So since the first day I came here, I was trying to play by the rules. I know I broke the rules when I came here illegally, but I had no choice. And I think everybody should have the right to better their life. And then that's what I did. That's the reason why I came here.
From an outsider's perspective, this whole thing, when I see someone going through what you've said was a 2-week-long quest with all these dangers and all these, risks that are associated with it, all to show up to a place and work not like pretty much minimum wage to make their way. It's like, some of what I think of in just the general American story about people coming here through intense risk. Like, don't you think that like naturally selects people who have a special kind of like bravery, work ethic? Like that's what I see when I see you, Marco, is like bravery to go through risk, work ethic to keep working here through all this time, you know what I mean? And make your way out from nothing to something. Like that's basically the American dream. I know, and I'm not trying to be sappy about this or whatever, but you know, that's just super cool to hear. And for you to influence the culture of, you know, Minnesota, Pelican Rapids, what it is something where you're willing to take on these tremendous risks to better your family, your community, and stuff like that. That's what I see when I hear that story. So,
thank you. And going back to the relating thing, now that I see people out there that I know that I know they're here as asylum seekers, I see myself in them when I first came here. They're trying to better their lives. They're doing their best. They have a job and they try to follow the rules. But our political climate right now, it's against them. So I've seen a lot of them, and I've known a lot of them that they're dropping the towel. They're going back. I mean, despite all their efforts, they're in the process of leaving this country because of all the laws that are against them. And it's sad. It's sad to me. It's sad to me because I went through what they're all going through. And
do you know anything about like the current state of how, like, with the asylum seeking, right? Like that wasn't a process when you were going through.
No,
like what
it wasn't.
Yeah.
Especially for people from Mexico. It's I don't know why, but it's not Mexico. It's not in their list. So that's why it wasn't an option for us.
Oh yeah, so that's like part of it, right? Is like there's plenty of people coming through. It's even a longer quest, right? There's people coming from across an ocean to get to Mexico, to get across the border through Mexico, right? And so just like thinking about that's an even more risky, more elongated path, and that's what I think of when I think of the immigration system. Is like, how can the U.S. make investments to make it easier for people so they don't have to go through Mexico, right? Like, because then that's kind of, now you're putting them through the walk through the desert when they don't have to, right? And then obviously any actors within Mexico who want to exploit these people on their quest forward, like that's also something to be concerned about too. So
and that happens a lot. I mean, you get robbed. I was robbed by the police in Mexico because they know you're not from the area. They know you're trying to cross. They know you don't have anybody. And back then you didn't have a cell phone. It was harder because your family didn't know where you were or what you were doing. So I was robbed on my way here, and they took all my money, and it was the last day that I spent on the border because the day after I made it through, which was good because I didn't have any more money for eating. So yeah, so it's a lot of dangers, and I'm up for the government to find a legal path. I mean, that they can, I don't know, they can find a way to legalize the good immigrants that are coming, stronger background checks, and just find a system that works a little better. And I'm all for it.
yeah, and I am too. I'm for, when I think of just government in general, like how can we invest in ways to not make things broken, right? Like there's so many different topics we could talk about, but like education system, right, as an example, they say, oh, it's broken. Okay, so you're going to put less investment towards it, right? Like, don't you think if something wasn't working well, you would make it action to put investment towards it? Same thing with immigration, right? Like I think there's so many ways that we can get people who are genuinely seeking asylum here to this country. Why can't we do it in a way safer manner for these people? You know what I mean? And just like avoid the humanitarian crisis that is the long quest that you're talking about. You know what I mean? So I think about that a lot. And, you know, a lot of people would be like, well, because of my 2-week walk through the desert, I'm a way tougher person. And now you know what I mean? But like, you didn't have to go through that. You still would have been like a successful artist, a useful member of this community, a great father, family member without that walk through the desert, I believe. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you.
So, but who knows? You know what I mean? There's like everything, you know, I like to believe everything happens for a reason, but it is unfortunate to hear like unnecessary suffering like that too.
When I was in Mexico, I wanted to be a history teacher because I love history. So that was my plan when I was going to high school in Mexico, a history teacher. I was in love with history, and I like art too. But I said, "Oh, teachers, they get. I mean, they live pretty good in Mexico. I mean, they're not in the lower wage, so they live a decent life in Mexico. So that was my focus when I was in Mexico."
Yeah. And so so when I think about, okay, one thing I heard about you, did you get involved with that art project with Paul Johnson? Was it like that wall? Was that like a history wall, right? Like I was talking about the history of different things. Like, I don't know. Do you know about, were you really excited to do that project, or was that just kind of like you were hired to do it and it was
Well, he took a picture of me, and I'm part of
your face
my
is on
face is
okay,
there. Yeah,
okay.
I wasn't involved in the actual making of it, but
you're
my
just,
face. My
okay.
face is there.
Okay,
yeah.
you're just the model of the whole operation.
And he photographed some other people, but I was excited when he asked me, "Hey, you wanna be on that project?" And I said, "Yeah," and I think it looks really. I've seen part of it, and he did a great job.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's that's cool. Then you're basically, you know, you've gotten your face etched into what is Pelican Rapids history, and I think what defines Pelican Rapids is like it is a small, diverse community, but that's because there's so many people that have taken risks to be here. Do you know what I mean? To make a better life for themselves and take care of each other, right? Like there's so much of that ingrained in the culture that people don't understand when they're outside of this area, is to say, we all basically came here, whether it was like my Scandinavian ancestors 200 years ago, right? There was risks there. They're different, right? But then, you know, you also have, you know, the Mexican community, and then now the greater Latin American community and the Somali community. But all of them kind of have this same reason for being in this small town in the middle of, people would say, nowhere, is like, hey, this is all to build a life for my family, my community, and then just like that common bond, I think, brings people together more than it pulls people apart.
And I think the outsiders have a misconception about Pelican Rapids when they hear the name Pelican Rapids. Oh no, it's crime, it's drugs, and that's not how it is. I mean, people get along. I think what I've seen, we all get along, and we might not share the same political views or the same religion or the same culture, but we'll learn to get along, and I like it. I think it's a great way to teach our kids about empathy, about respect, and it's a great town to raise your kids, to raise your family.
Yeah. It's just to speak on it's just to double down on that. That's something that I went down to the cities from my college experience. I went to the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, and like I started thinking about where do I want to settle down, raise a family, you know, have kids grow up into a community that is diverse in viewpoints and cultures, but like welcoming and creating a culture of welcomingness like in every individual, right? And I feel like there's not very many places like Pelican that can do that have some small town values where we're all together, but then also just have the differences of cultures and opinions where people can understand, whoa, there's these different ways of life out there, but we all do have a common desire or common bond in that way. So.
And going back to you being a teacher, I always wonder, because I think teaching is one of the hardest jobs or hardest tasks that there is, because you get all this classroom full of let's say 20 kids. They all have different learning abilities, and how do you cope with that? I mean, how do you try to get all on the same level?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been someone that puts the relationship of who this kid is or who the student is, who the teacher can be for that kid before any content, right? Like math is obviously what I teach, but sometimes you go to my room and we'll be talking about history or, you know, current events or English, whatever it is. But the point is, like, every single day I want to meet a kid and say, what are they going through right now? What are they thinking about? And how can I just be a positive mentor for them, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I realize that me modeling what it is to be a good person and, like, positive role model for them is more important than their ability to do, like, the quadratic formula, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
it makes sense.
When it comes to how do you balance that, my philosophy of education would be to always build a relationship with that student, figure out what makes them tick, and then do my best to, you know, shoehorn the content into their lives, but just do it in a way that they feel loved, right? Mm-hmm. They feel like they have a place, because then they're going to make everyone around them feel like they're loved as well or have a place too. So that's kind of what I've always done, and I think it's worked out pretty well so far.
Yeah, when I was going to high school, the language barrier made it a little hard. I even had to take some summer classes in order to graduate, which I did. And but like I said, the language barrier and not being able to understand what the algebra teacher was trying to tell or was trying to explain, it made it a little harder for me and some other students that didn't speak the language. But we managed to graduate. And
do you remember having like one teacher in particular, or a teacher or a couple that, regardless of a language barrier or anything like that, made you feel like you had a place here?
A lot of them. Most of the teachers in Pelican. Mm-hmm. But my math teacher was Mr. Strand. He was great.
I had him too. Yeah.
It's I looked up to him, and a lot of other teachers, Mr. Schmid, Mrs. Johnson. She was our ESL teacher, and a lot of teachers. A lot of people has helped me along the way, and I'm so grateful for all of them. And not just teachers, Paul Johnson, people that I've known in Pelican, friends, family. So I'm very grateful for all of them. Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty special community, you know what I mean?
It is.
Of all the places to stumble when you get to, you know, and I obviously didn't choose to just be born here, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just, of places to stumble in the world, like, this is a pretty cool spot. So.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, even though it's a small town, you still don't know everybody. Like they say, oh, it's a small town, they know everybody. No, you don't. You might know their faces, but you don't really know them. Because I live on the west side of town, and we're the last 5 houses on the west. And I know 2 of my neighbors. I know them well. Every time we bump into each other, we have a small talk, 10, 20 minutes. But the other 2, they keep to themselves. And I've approached them a couple times, just try to be friendly. But they somehow, like, they want to be to themselves, so I kind of leave them aside. But, I mean, it's with the other 2, they clean my driveway in wintertime, and we get along so good. They know if they need to borrow a tool or something, they can just go to my garage and take it. And it's like it's a small town, but it would be better if we would try to connect with at least the people down your street, you know, because like I said, you know their faces, but you don't know what they do for a living or what their hobbies are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I probably have seen you on the street before a time or two. I give you like a head nod and stuff, but I think this has been a really special conversation to actually get to know you a little bit more, Marco. So,
yeah, it's been a pleasure to get to know you too.
For sure. Mm-hmm. We'll get coffee pretty soon, sometime soon here. So,
I'm up for it.
Sounds good. Mm-hmm.